Bruins win 4-2 over the Minnesota Wild. Now, many personal milestones were reached for the Bruins in this game, but I want to say this first. It's an absolute shame to see that Mike Yeo has lost his job as Wild head coach. Talking to and seeing the reaction of Wild fans on Twitter, it certainly seems as though this was yet another coach who took the fall for his players, and I have a soft spot for many teams. I think a lot of people do. Like, if you like individual players, it doesn't matter what team they're on, and in a way you'll kind of root for that team. I mean, obviously at the end of the day, I'm a diehard Bruins fan, and I will be until the day I die. But I do have a soft spot for the Wild, mainly due to players over a decade ago like Manny Fernandez and particularly Brian Ralston. But just to sum it up, I hope they can get it back on track. The fans in Minnesota deserve better. As far as the Bruins go, my God, Brad Marchand can just not stop scoring. 12 goals in 12 games with a 6-game goal streak. I've asked it before, will he reach 40 goals? I'd honestly bet on it at this point. He's been simply unreal since returning from suspension. Credit to David Krejci as well on the first goal to put the Bruins up 1-0. A beautiful pass to set up Marshy for his 27th of the year. Now, I've yet to mention two things. One, the lack of Bergeron out with injury, listed as day-to-day. Now, apparently it's a shoulder, and while that would suck, it's certainly a better situation than if it were a concussion. Obviously, a lot of people know about Bergie's history with concussions, mainly early in his career, but I hope at all cost he can avoid that problem flaring up once again. Hopefully he is truly day-to-day, because as I've said, he's an MVP candidate, and very few players are as valuable to their individual team as Bergeron. Now, the second thing I've yet to mention is Gustafsson was in goal. Now, for me, he's been a great backup this season. He stepped in and has allowed Subban and McIntyre to gain and further improve down in Providence. Obviously, now Subban's out and will be for a bit, but I'm getting a little bit off track. Gus has done exactly what has been needed of him. Sure, it's not been perfect, which brings me back into this game. A terrible turnover allows Thomas Vanek to tie it up. Was it Gustafsson's fault, or guess who else was involved in that play? Kevin Miller. I'm not going to pin the blame on either one of them. Just a very, very poor play that has... It's those type of plays that if it happens in a game against a team that's not down on their luck like Minnesota is, it rips the Bruins apart, and they pay for it every time. They paid for it here. Thankfully, they were able to rebound. And what do I mean by rebound? Well, 35 seconds later, David Krejci from the goal line banks a puck off of Nino Niederreiter for his 13th of the year, and the Bruins wouldn't look back. Louis Eriksson would get his 18th of the year and his 200th career goal on a breakaway in the third. No doubt if the Bruins trade him, he will fetch an amazing return. But man, if he can keep up this form, nearly like his Dallas form, the player we all thought we were getting, who wouldn't want the Bruins to keep him? Of course, it all depends on the money. Ryan Spooner gets his 28th assist of the year on that goal as well. I'll mention him in a little bit. Zdeno Chara would add an empty netter for his 8th of the year in the third period, 4-1 Boston at that point. Chara now plus 200 in his career, which is absolutely insane. Mike Riley would also get a milestone moment for him and Minnesota. He gets his first career NHL goal, but the Bruins win 4-2 on the first game of their back-to-back afternoon matchups. And up next, it's Detroit. Equal games played, but 1 point clear of the Bruins. They currently hold the second spot in the Atlantic. This is a massive game. If they win, they're 2 points back of Florida for the top spot in the Atlantic. Who the hell would have thought? First place? Seriously, first place. Sure, Montreal collapsing makes this a little bit easier, but I still wouldn't have thought at this point that, towards the back half of the season, the Bruins would have a chance to be in first place. Which brings me to my final subject in this video. Who would have guessed? This team, with their issues heading into the season, new team, certain players gone, Lucic gone, Hamilton gone, new management, yet the same coach, the guy who a lot of people wanted out. He isn't willing to change his systems. He's misused young talent like Spooner. I mean, come on, it's not like this year under Claude he's improved defensively and turned into a much better and well-rounded player, right? He relies on D-men too much, certain D-men too much, which, yeah, is true, I'll give you that, particularly one guy who I don't exactly need to mention again. But the point is, Claude Julien is the greatest coach in Bruins history, and he secured his 500th career win as a head coach in this game. And sure, it hasn't all been roses this year. His entire tenure it hasn't all been roses. But to me, there's no denying that Claude Julien is the greatest coach this team has ever seen. In 9 years here now, he is officially 6 wins behind Art Ross. Art Ross, you know, the guy who's named after the goddamn trophy? Art Ross, who had 95 more games under his belt by the time he reached his win total. I'm glad to say Claude is still here. I'm glad he is the longest tenured coach in the league right now because he deserves it. I mean, Jesus, could you imagine if he was canned at the start of the year and the Bruins actually brought in Mike Milbury as rumored? But that'll do it for this one, guys. Strong game for the Bruins. Not perfect, but they get a win on a team, again, that is down on their luck. Bruins win when they need to, setting them up for the big game against Detroit tomorrow. Of course, question of the game, player of the game, all that stuff has been up in the poll section. Feel free to check it out and let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this game and anything else that you want to bring up. As always, if you've enjoyed, leave a like down below. Subscribe for more recaps after every single Bruins game. Spread the word, and I will see you all next time when the Bruins could be in sole possession. Well, they're in sole possession now, but when they could have points above Detroit for the first time in God knows how long. I'll see you all next time.